Hey guys, you know what they say, do not buy cheap graphite fishing reels because they're only going to last about half a season and then they're going to break and you're going to have to replace them anyway. Or are you? Well, alright guys, I have always been a firm believer in you get what you pay for, buy once, cry once. But I've also been a believer if you take care of what you have, it will last longer. So some of the reels that you get for super cheap that are super plasticky, they are junk and they're not built to last very long. But sometimes you get lucky, like this little job. I got this as a combo. Rod and reel combo on sale at Bass Pro for $15. Now I got this because I had just moved about an hour and a half away from home. I was only a mile away from the lake, or less than a mile away from the lake. I had my tackle box with me, but I hadn't moved my rods and reels yet. And I was that close to the lake, so I ran to Bass Pro. They had this on sale for $15 for the combo. I figured me and my little dog will take this down to the lake and catch some little panfish, and that'll suffice me until I get the rest of my stuff home. Well, some buddies from work had called and said, we're going down to Bull Shoals, go with us. And this was all I had, and I caught nice walleye with it and nice white bass that day, and I just fell in love with using it, and it kind of became my everyday setup. When I came back to get the rest of my stuff, I dropped it off at Mom and Dad's because I didn't have any intentions of using it. I just wanted to use this. So I bought this 15 years ago. I used it 7 or 8 years, just this. This was my go-to. This is all I cared to use. And I'm not talking like a couple times a year. I'm talking I would use my comp time to leave work early and go fishing, and fishing nonstop, fishing for stuff that you should never fish for with an ultralight, throwing heavy baits that you should not throw. I mean, it's been abused. It should have broke a long time ago with the way that I've treated it, going 3-4 times a week, throwing stuff that you shouldn't throw. But it's 15 years later and it's still going. And 7 or 8 years of those was hardcore use. Since then has been, it goes with me, but not as the primary reel anymore. But it has been replaced, not necessarily replaced because I do still use it, but it's been replaced with this. 2010 is when I got this. Walmart messed up and put this rod on sale for $15. They messed up and put this reel on sale for $6. So, I mean, that's a pretty cheap combo also, and it's lasted the last 11 years. So, how do you, and I've gone catfishing with that. I've caught 5-6 pound catfish with this stupid little thing on accident, and it's still going. Now recently it started, I don't know if you can hear that, started making that gear noise. So there's either some grease in there or some dirt in there or something, but you know, for that long, for 15 years before it started making that noise, how do you get them to last that long? I'm gonna show you. It's very easy. All you gotta do is service it. A lot of people don't do that anymore. Service your reels. 2 to 3 times a year is what I do mine, depending on how much you fish. I would at least do it once or twice a year, but service them. It's not that hard. It doesn't take that much time, and I'll show you how to do this one here in a second. And this is just a Bill Dance Quantum Select 10. Just a little little cheapy. All graphite frame, and I mean it's cheap. It should not have lasted this long, but I've taken care of it, so that's why it has. So we're going to show you how to clean this, and we are going to be doing a giveaway, so make sure, even if you already know how to service your reel, make sure to stick around because we are doing a giveaway. And for cleaning this, we're going to do something a little different. Now, Super Clean had sent me some of their products to try out, and I used it on the rod that this came in because it was the grossest one I could find. This is before, and this is after. And the camera really isn't doing it justice. This is disgusting. But we're going to use that Super Clean on the reel. It only took about 10 minutes to get that cork, which is very super porous, and it penetrated it, and it didn't cause any damage like other cleaners would on cork. So we're going to use it on metal and see how fast it goes. Normally I would do soap and water, which is fine. Dawn dish soap is a really great degreaser, but on a reel like this that usually gets maintained a lot, which I haven't maintained this one probably in a year because I haven't used it. I got to where I was using my vintage Mitchell 308 a lot and letting other people use this, and I kind of forgot to clean it. I wasn't using it, so it didn't dawn on me to clean it. So that's probably why you're hearing that noise. But instead of the Dawn dish soap, which like on a reel that usually gets maintained, I'll let it soak for an hour or so and come back and finish. On a vintage reel, it's depending on how bad it is. Some of them are so caked up with like 50-60 years of grease, I have to let them soak for overnight or longer. And this stuff is supposed to be super fast, which it was on the cork, so we're gonna see if Super Clean is super fast on a reel where I don't have to soak it for hours. So I'm gonna get the camera situated and I will show you how to take this apart and clean it. Alright, so we're gonna take the spool off. Start by removing the drag, which is pretty long-winded on this one. Now I want you to remember, a lot of people will tell you that you have to have like a $300 reel and a $200 rod, and I enjoy using that stuff just as much as the next person, but you don't have to have that. If all you can afford is a $15 rod and reel combo, then use it. I mean, Dad only uses old school Zebcos. Mom learned how to fish with a stick that my grandpa got out of the field, a piece of bale and twine, and a safety pin for the hook. So I mean, you can catch fish with just about anything. It might not last as long, or if you take care of it, contrary to what some people will try to tell you, it will last, like this one, already 15 years. So when we take this stuff off, make sure you have a little container so you don't lose it all. That's just a lunch meat container. Magnum grip. You can use a wrench here, but I find the Magnum grip is just like a vice grip, only a little better in this situation. First we need to remove this screw though. And now we can remove that nut. Now we're going to remove the handle I know I'm on YouTube, so I'm supposed to be telling you to get the fancy high dollar stuff, so you'll buy from my links and I can be rich. But in all honesty, I mean, the nice stuff is nice. Not saying that I don't use that too, because I do, but I would rather you guys have what you can afford. If you have to save up for something nicer later, if you want those bells and whistles, then with a $15 combo, at least you can get started. Or if you're like me, I've been fishing for 37 years and still use cheaper stuff too, because it works. So there's 3 little screws on here. Your whatever reel you happen to be servicing might be a little different. And by the way, if you are into vintage reels, this came in the mail yesterday. What? There's no button. There's no button to push. 0 Hour Bomb Company, before Zebco was Zebco. So if you're into vintage stuff, keep an eye out for a video of me talking about and using that. So if you're not already subscribed, I don't know why you wouldn't be, but if you're not, you subscribe and you'll get to see that old school reel being put to the test. Now, I will suggest, see, these screws are all different sizes. I would suggest that you take pictures with each step that you're doing. The only reason I'm not with this is because I've got the video to look back on if I need to. But once you remove this piece, there's a little notch here. Just push up with your screwdriver and it should pop right off. Should. There we go. Now see, I can already see that the excess grease is what my problem is. Now there's a bearing right here, and then this gear, and sometimes they're a little tricky. There we go. See that? See how nasty that is? That's probably where our noise is coming from. So to remove this, we're going to remove this little screw here. Put that in our bucket. Remove the, now that bail is kind of getting stiff, so I'm going to clean it, but probably not on this video. It depends on how long we end up going. There's a spring in there, and my hands don't always work, so I might save that for a little later. Got pretty nasty spinal cord damage that causes my hands to not have a grip, and I do not want to lose that spring. So now remove the pin from here. We'll remove this. Now see, that's got a little recessed part that goes on that little nub there. So you need to remember that. Take a picture of it. That's how it goes back on. And we will remove that. If you've got tweezers, which I did not, mine are in the other room. I didn't grab them. But that would make it a lot easier. Now see, that is just disgusting. It needs to have grease on it, but this is old grease, and look right there. See, I wasn't paying attention. Make sure that that goes back in there after you're done cleaning it. Alright, now this should come right out of here. Like so. And when it did, this little washer came out, which sits on top of that little bearing there. I would not suggest tearing all of this down. There's a lot of tiny little pieces that you could very easily lose. I am going to clean this, but I'm not going to tear it all the way down. My main problem, why it was making so much noise, is right here. If I can find the... See that massive amount of nasty old grease in there? And that's gross. That's what's causing the issue. So I'm going to pause you and wipe my hands off, and then I will show you the next step. Alright guys, I take that back. What I'm actually going to do, so this video isn't like super duper long and you don't want to sit and watch me do this part anyway, but I'm going to take this stuff. I'm not tearing the spool all the way down because it's got fairly new line on it, and I don't feel that just needs to be wiped down, not actually cleaned. But what I'm going to do is wash this stuff in the sink, just in clean water, to get the most of that grime off. That won't focus. And then we are going to hit it with a degreaser, and I'll show you that. But right now, I'm going to rinse this off in just clean water. Alright, we've got all this stuff rinsed, and if you have a soft bristle toothbrush to get into these little grooves and the teeth on the gears, that would be very beneficial. And like down in here, the gunk gets down in there, so if you use a toothpick, cheap and easy, but it works. So we've rinsed it off just in the sink, rinsed to get the big chunks of grease out and dirt and whatever. And now we're going to actually use the degreaser, because these are like super greasy, and if we don't get it all off, then there's really no point in doing it if we're not going to try to do our best. So now they do make like specific for reels, real degreaser, like Abu makes it, and it works great. I mean, it all works great, but that's like $10 for a tiny little bottle, where you could instead get something like Super Clean and have a 32-ounce bottle that is not just good for reels, but for your rod handles and your grill and your tile floor and tackle box and everything else. So if you prefer to use like a real degreaser over regular soap and water or Super Clean or something like that, that's fine. But to me, it's just kind of like going to the outdoor section at Walmart and they have outdoor toilet paper or outdoor camping soap, and it comes in a camo package, so it's 50% more expensive. I think the Super Clean will work just fine, or soap, but I think the Super Clean will do it faster. But I don't know, we're gonna see. But that's that. So with Super Clean, depending on what kind of material you're cleaning, you dilute it. So for this, since there's a lot of stainless in there, we've diluted it to 16:1, just like I did with the reel. If you didn't, or the rod I mean, if you didn't see that video, I will post a link like up here somewhere maybe, or in the description. But you put that in a bottle, we're gonna spray it, and we're gonna let it soak for 1 minute. So we've got our spray bottle. We're gonna get all these parts sprayed. Now normally I would just have a tub of soapy water, but if this can prevent me from having to wait hours, especially if you're wanting to fish that day with that reel, I would rather try something that's a little faster. I don't think there's really much, well, we better do those bearings. Okay, we're gonna let that set for 1 minute, and then we're gonna come and wipe it off and see if it got it all, or if we need to hit it again. All right, well, we let that soak in the Super Clean for 1 minute, and they say do not let it dry on the surface, only let it set for 1 minute and then rinse it. So it soaked for 1 minute. I rinsed it in the sink just in regular water. Dry it off with just either a t-shirt or an old washcloth or whatever. I wouldn't recommend using paper towels because that can kind of crumble and get stuck to your parts. But here's the deal. I was kind of like with the cork on my rod, it took like 4 sprays to get it to penetrate down deep in that cork, and I figured it would probably take at least a couple of sprays with this. I mean, metal's not going to be as hard to clean as cork, but I figured it would take a couple of sprays at least, but it didn't. I sprayed it once and it, like, all the grease is gone, and usually I will let that soak in just regular Dawn dish soapy water for an hour or so before I check it. And I mean, this stuff took 1 minute to soak in the Super Clean, and it's done. It's ready to go. So I'm pretty impressed with how fast that worked. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use the soapy water method anymore, because this is super clean, super fast. But at any rate, we've got it all clean, we've got it all wiped down. Now we need to start putting it together and re-greasing and re-oiling. And remember, there is a giveaway, so even if you do know how to do this, stick around because you won't want to miss that. So, if you took pictures, now's the time to look at them, so you make sure to get everything back the way it was. So we had this gear right here. Actually, before we put that gear in there, remember it was easier to put this back in. That washer's back on there. Now, if you'll notice, two sides are flat and 2 sides are round. So remember that, because it's how it needs to go back in. See, 2 sides are flat up here. And that bearing is turning and making it difficult. There we go. Now we'll put this back in here. Now we will grab some real grease. Whoa. I'm gonna take just a cheap old paintbrush. And you don't want to get a ton of grease on here, just enough. And we're gonna take this back off of here so I can get it in those teeth. You get too much grease in there, it's like when you get a brand new reel that comes from China and they put so much grease and oil in there to make them last for a long time without having to clean it, but there's so much in there that it actually makes it not work as smooth as it should. So you don't want to get a ton in there, just enough. And I should have done that with this piece first, but that's no problem. We can slide it down here. Turn it. Push it back up there. Have a handy dandy paper towel around to wipe your hands on. Alright. We'll slide this down in here. Now remember, this screwed on together, so that hole needs to go in, the end with the hole needs to go in first. And remember, that has a little groove that needs to go on that little knob there. Get that in place. Now one side of that is round and one is curved, so we need to make sure that it goes back in that way. And this was what was a pain to get out earlier. Alright, we're going to put a little dab of grease there. Not a whole lot because we're putting that screw in there. Get grease down in this area. And this is a good time to look at your pictures to make sure you're putting the correct screw in the correct place. Otherwise it will not fit and you'll get aggravated because you have to take it apart and do it again. Alright. Now we're going to put some grease on this. Going to put it in the gears and a little bit on the shaft also. Anywhere where that metal is going to be on metal, you need to have some grease. And it got a little too much there. place this back in here. Make sure you've got it where it needs to go, and it's on those teeth are on those gears just like it should be. Now we're going to take some oil. It has a little cap but I find that comes out way faster than it should. So Jesse's Farm Art is actually Jesse's Farm Art and Custom Leather, if you didn't know. So I use these for my leather work, for some of the dye work that I do, and they work great for adding oil. So there's a bearing there, so we're going to put a little bit of oil there, let that penetrate. Not a ton, just enough. Now we're going to take our little side plate, grab our little screws, find the correct screwdriver that I just had. I think the screwdriver is a little better. One more to go on this piece. So Father's Day is coming up next Sunday. Everybody excited? We're actually going to do a Father's Day giveaway. So a company actually reached out and said, I may not have a ton of followers, but the ones that I have are subscribers rather, but the ones that I have are pretty stinking awesome, and you guys deserve a chance to win some of their products. And would I be interested in doing a giveaway? I thought, shoot, yeah. I want my faithful fishing buddies to have a chance to win something. So as soon as I get this put back together, we're going to tell you what that is. I don't know why I just put the cap back on that. I need it. Alright, there's bearings on either side of the handle, so we're going to put a little bit of oil in here and on this side. Not a ton. Put that back on real easy like. Now it's time for our spool. We're going to hit that bearing right there with some oil. Now our little nut goes on there. And then the tiny little screw. Oh, there's 2 holes there, but only one is threaded. So we know that it goes in that hole there. I'm gonna need the bigger screwdriver. Maybe. Looks like somebody's been using these little screwdrivers as a pry bar. They're not fitting like they should. We're gonna drop a little bit of oil there for safe measure. Now when I took this off, the gear was on here first, which we're gonna hit with some grease. Alrighty. Place that on there. And then after the gear were these little 2 white washers. And then this little rubber washer. And I wiped that spool. I didn't hit that with the super clean. I didn't feel it needed it, but I did wipe it down. Put a little bit of oil on that shaft. A tiny little drop on top of here. Tighten it all down with the drag knob. Alright, with any luck, that sound has went away. But first, I'm going to put the cap on this oil because I'm scared to death I'm going to spill it everywhere. Moment of truth. Oh. Well, the line's caught up there. Alright, remember when I said to make sure to look at your pictures before you put it back together? I thought the tag end of the line was up underneath my spool. But then it dawned on me I put the washer like this when it was supposed to be on top of this bearing here. Like so. So, friendly little reminder, pay attention to your pictures. Now I'm going to put this back together and then I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, well that didn't really go as planned. I thought I heard that tag into the line underneath the spool, but it's actually still making the noise. If you can hear that. Will it work? Sure. But I've tore it down a couple of times just to make sure I've got everything lined up right. And I think I do, and none of the gears are damaged. The teeth are all intact. So there's something in there going on. But even so, that kind of proves 2 points. I did not clean this at all last year, and now it's making that noise. And even if this is trash now, if I can't, I'm gonna try to fix it. But if I can't fix it, it lasted 14, almost 15 years now. $15 combo for 15 years. That's $1 a year. So if you didn't know how to clean your reel, I hope that helped you, me showing you how to clean this one. But if there's only one thing that you take from this, it's if you've only got a small amount of money to buy a combo, then do it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I recently saw a post on Facebook in a group where a junior high age boy had mowed yards like every couple of weeks for 10 bucks for his neighbor, and he had $40 saved up, asking people what kind of rod and reel he could get for that. His neighbor said he could fish in the pond for small bass and panfish, and people were tearing him down because 40 bucks you're not going to get anything good. It's going to be graphite. You need aluminum frame, and save your money and get a Corrado or a Tatula or whatever, and $100 reel to go, or $100 rod to go with it. By the time he saves that, making $10 every 2 weeks, it's, you know, he's going to miss out on the whole summer of fishing. So if what you can afford is just a cheap little job like this has lasted 15 years. So you don't have to have the fanciest stuff out there. Get what you can afford and get on the water, and in time you can save up and get something fancy if you want to. But this little job, I mean, it's got its issues now, but I think I can fix it. There's something in there that I'm missing. I think I can fix it. But even if I can't, it's $1 a year, $15 combo, and I slammed the tip of the rod in the door the other day, and it's just fine. So some of these reels are a lot tougher than what you think, even though they're super cheap. Stay away from the super plasticky ones because they probably will break, but as you saw in here, all the gears are metal. They're not plastic gonna break like some of the super cheap combos, but that'll work for you. Something, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's not gonna last you a little while. 15 years if you're lucky. But at any rate, I said we're gonna do a giveaway, and we are. So I figure since next week is Father's Day, maybe we'll have the giveaway end on Father's Day. So if you win, maybe you can give it to Daddy-O or keep it for yourself. I'm not gonna judge. But what are we doing? Super clean. They watched the video where I clean this reel, or the rod, cork. I wish, if you go on my Instagram, there's a better picture, because the lighting in here is not doing this justice. This is what I cleaned. It looks brand new. This looks disgusting. But they said, since you guys are so awesome, one of you deserves to get some of their products to try for free. So the winner is going to get not only the spray bottle, which is what I like, what I've been using the most of. I like them both. And you're also going to get the aerosol can, which they're the same thing, but this one they say you can use on vertical surfaces, or you could use it on the grill. The grates won't fit in the sink. Spray it with this. I like this one the best. They're the same thing, but I just like it in the bottle the best. But you're getting both. The winner gets both of these, or these are mine. They'll send you brand new ones. But these clean everything, all sorts of different surfaces, tackle boxes, coolers. The video I did showing the rod, somebody said they used this stuff. They've used it for a long time. They use it to clean their fish cleaning surfaces and their boat and a whole bunch of stuff. So engines, grills, brakes, fishing gear, fishing reels, rods, everything. So all you have to do to enter is, now this is for my subscribers, so you need to be a subscriber. If you're not already, that's okay. You can do it right now. Just click the subscribe button, like the video, and leave me a comment. Tell me if you win this, tell me what you would want to use it to clean it on first. Like your reel or your rod or your boat. Just tell me what you cannot wait to use this on. And then Father's Day is Sunday, so how about Saturday we will pick a winner from the comments, and then whoever wins, you'll give me your email so I can contact you about your address, and then I will give that to Super Clean, and they will send you both of these, one of each. So, I mean, you can't beat that. This stuff is awesome. And I'm not pro staff or sponsored or whatever. They're just wanting to send you guys this stuff. I just happen to like it. So, and they did send it to me to try out. But once I'm out of it, I will be buying more because I'm using it on everything. So that's all you got to do to win. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed because you do have to be a subscriber to win. And leave me a comment so I'll know that you want to enter. And if you didn't see the video of me cleaning the rod, then I'll put a link either in the corner or in the description, one of the two. So that's it. If you've only got a few dollars to spend, go get you a cheap one. It doesn't matter. The fish don't care. The bells and whistles are awesome to have. It would be awesome to have a Lamborghini, but a Ford will get you there too. So get out there and fish, and I will see you on the water.